Yes, race fans, it's true. Ridge Racer is dead. F-Zero, on the other hand, kind of in a weird spot, considering it's currently the newest craze, straight from Nintendo and their whole Battle Royale 99 players sort of scheme that they started ever since Tetris 99, and then followed up with Super Mario 35, which, died literally less than a year after it came out, and then Pac-Man 99, which, that got its fair time in the sunlight, but that's also, going to be discontinued fairly soon, so, yeah. F-Zero!
It is time! The monkey finger has closed.
Yes, so for people that were, begging, stomping their little feet, holding their breath for Nintendo to acknowledge F-Zero again, let us know. Does this embitter you, or does this give you a very confused sense of elation?
I'm honestly on that boat where, I was not expecting F-Zero to make a comeback anytime soon, but even then, I was very surprised that they decided to give it a chance with, again, with the Battle Royale craze, considering you're playing a full-on racing game that prides itself on precision and... oops. It's fine. But, it prides itself on precision. And also a whole lot of chaos. So let's amp that up by about 3 times with not just 30 racers, but 99 of them.
This is where it gets a little nuts.
Also running off of the original F-Zero structure.
Honestly,
this is where I saw this and thought, this is a little ridiculous.
I mean, you say that, but honestly, in-universe, would this really be that out of place considering how races in the universe are actually meant to be, so hectic and chaotic?
Right?
But, this is, look at this!
I mean, yeah, no, everyone's just bumping and bruising just to get the top spot. So, let's dial it down a bit while everyone's just going nuts over here. For those that have not played an F-Zero game before, think Mario Kart, but futuristic, without all those bogus items, and you're just worrying about your pure skill as a racer.
Because also take heed. It's Mario Kart if Mario Kart actually had a health bar that you need to be mindful of.
Mario Kart if you explode for real.
Yep, and if you explode in the game, you explode for real.
It's Mario Kart, but dangerous.
So, in the original F-Zero, which is nice. In the original F-Zero, I don't know if we had tackled it at the time. In the original F-Zero, the whole point of it was, again, high speed, fast-paced racing. You, of course, control Captain Falcon in the Blue Falcon. He was, I guess, a boxer and sometimes, I guess, a bounty hunter.
Not a boxer, he was just a pure bounty hunter.
Yeah, it's straight up. Or at the very least, what Nintendo thought a bounty hunter was.
Yes.
I'd say, to Falcon's credit, he was at least more legible as a bounty hunter than Samus was. Samus was just a straight-up mercenary.
Right. But Nintendo didn't know how that worked. But
kind of like the Star Fox team is.
Right. So, the big hook of the game was that you have racing and you have you have a boost mechanic. You do have a boost mechanic. However, you need to be mindful that using the boost and/or driving over rough and rugged terrain, or also colliding with vehicles if you're not careful, will deplete your energy gauge. Nice. And if your energy gauge should, for any reason, period, if your energy gauge should ever reach 0, your ship, it hits critical. It would explode. Right. And so Nintendo took that mechanic and went whole hog with it in F-Zero 99, and that now this is literally frickin' Mad Max, Twisted Metal, pick it. Pick whichever one you want. It's a death race. So that's actually interesting. So you got 28. So now what happens to the top 50?
They die.
Well, some of them died. Others are, I guess, they just have to suffer the fate of losing. But one thing that F-Zero 99 does do that's kind of neat is that it will, because in the actual F-Zero games, they have a whole rival system where, you'll have, this one random player who is going to go complete aggro on your butt. And in this game, they change it in such a way where basically those that count as your rivals are those that are close within your, for lack of a better word,
Zoidberg.
EXP. What? Zoidberg was among them. But, basically they list those that are within the same rank as you, as your rivals. And if you're able to actually beat them in the race, then it gives you more points.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that was actually interesting.
The neat thing about you gotta love him.
I was like, that was actually really quick. That was actually interesting because I'm so used between Pac-Man and Tetris and even Mario. I'm so used to it being a, one winner takes all, like whoever's the last one standing. I thought that's how it would be in this game, but like if you can survive that's still fine. It doesn't have to just be one person. It's just, who gets the coveted first place, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you still get, big kudos if you do end up getting first place, but otherwise it's like, considering you have like 98 other racers, I mean, it makes sense that maybe it's, take your victories while you have them.
Okay.
Oh, dude, can we get a full room? Can we get a full room? Yay!
Hey!
Also, just in time, we're about to start one of the game's special modes, the Mini Pre, where you basically go through a challenging 3-race series.
Okay.
There's also the primary Grand Prix stuff that you can also do, but those are also, under a toll, like, they have their own schedule to worry about, so unfortunately, we're probably not going to be able to do one during this recording, but, you know what? Why don't we use this time as I go through my first mini pre in the entire thing to talk about this recent Direct?
But yeah, no, because this was the shadow launch from this.
Yeah. Well, where Nintendo once again gave Mario fans one heck of a feast.
There was
not just any Nintendo fans, but the Mario fans most especially. Like they are
that's why
absolutely capitalizing on the movie's success.
Well, that
I love that joke.
Well, then the other niche. Go ahead.
I was about to say, well, first off, that's why I said James, the Mario fans. And second off, I agree with that statement, and I love the tweet someone made where it's like, Nintendo were really prepared to bank off of how successful the Mario movie was, because like a lot of the Mario content that we're going to be getting in the upcoming months, to say year, it's insane on varying degrees. And yeah, why don't we go ahead and talk about, like, did we want to talk about specifically the Mario stuff, or was there like anything else they announced that you guys wanted to like talk about?
I wouldn't mind going in order, just because from start to finish there were some interesting things like across the board. There was only maybe one or two dull moments for me, just to get those out of the way. There was a couple of like very, unfortunately for me, bog standard looking like tactical RPGs that had a very muted color palette that I just unfortunately
very Animu looking.
There was I guess. There was one or two anime stuff I want to say were okay, but otherwise, unfortunately, there were some moments
based on
where
actual anime.
Correct, but
I'll give that one credit. That one looked pretty neat.
Yeah, it was cute.
It's also nice to see Spy Family actually get a fucking video game representation.
Right. I want more licensed games if they can be good, but otherwise, there was a couple moments where your brain could still switch off during the Direct, but otherwise, it was very solid. So I guess really quick. So starting off. We did finally get a more solid look at what the side order part of Splatoon 3 was going to be. That, everything was chrome, and it seems, I don't know exactly how it's going to be tackled, but kind of good, kind of bad, depending on how you look at it. It seems like this won't actually have a major story behind it, as far as I'm aware right now, because it's
pretty much Splatoon's answer to Dimension Shell Shock.
Right. Or, yeah, it's meant to be a replayable roguelike kind of experience, like also, adding on...
It's a survival mode.
Yeah.
I want to ask, since you guys are more in-depth with Splatoon lore than I am, why is Pearl a robot now?
My guess is that I believe she's not actually the robot. I think Duckman and Captain N.
Oh, I got one of them.
But I guess, I assume she's like piloting it. Also, for those who were stoked about the fact that we got an actual in-game representation of Harmony, I think her name is, the chiptune singing, the chiptune singing Inkling who runs the cosmetic shop in Splatoon 3. Mm-hmm. I forget if that's her name. But while I'm looking it up to confirm if that's her name or not, we did actually now get an official model of Deadfish, which was sort of more of a background element. Yeah, okay, her name was Harmony, but we got a 3D model representation of Deadfish from Octo Expansion, a sanitized Octoling who supposedly, according to the lore, had sanitized herself, or willingly allowed herself to be sanitized so that she could, I guess, become better with music or make more connection with people. I don't know. Very odd stuff. But... True! Why? Go! I keep hearing the harmonized go or whatever. Anyway, but yeah, it's gonna be a roguelike. Seems to be a roguelike experience. You can steadily upgrade and purchase new power-ups by doing certain challenges. I guess someone already has a theory that since the final tower thingy that Agent 8, which is confirmed to be Agent 8 again, was approaching, had very similar eyes on it. People are wondering if this is the return of Tartar again, or maybe like a backup of that stupid AI that now we gotta crush so it doesn't try to destroy it.
I can totally believe it.
So we're going to have to be mindful of that. Oh, geez, careful of the bumpers.
It's a good thing that many of the other racers share a similar brain cell is stupid there.
Careful.
I'm not forgetting that this thing has a drift feature.
While you're doing this, I also know sometimes you spin. Is that an actual attack you can perform?
Yes, it is. If you press ZL or ZR, you're able to do a little spin that it's mostly there to knock other players back a bit. And not only that, it also it's actually something that was carried over from like the sequels, namely X and GX.
Right. Which, it's really funny, because, like, before this Direct came out, like, there was rumors of, like, F-Zero content being present, but the two that were, like, the most prevalent were, like, this was obviously one of them. The other rumor was, like, them doing, like, a port of GX, but, well, hey, at least you get one of them.
Yeah. I mean, listen, if Nintendo's going to go on this whole spree of remaking their GameCube stuff, then, I mean, I'm all for it, considering what all was also revealed during this Direct.
Right.
But yeah, so after we got that side order out of the way. That won't be out till next year. So, in terms of the next sort of big thing, we finally got a confirmation of that rumor about Donkey Kong.
Yep. In that they're actually bringing back the Mario vs. Donkey Kong franchise as it originally was.
Yeah, a full-on remake of the first game.
Well, yes, the mini toys are there, but the mini toys weren't originally playable. They were the collectible.
Nope, they were the little droids in distress.
Yep. So that means I'm stoked because that means we actually get
Oh shit.
well, no, we get super athletic 2D Mario back who can do his handstand and Toad. I don't know. In hindsight, I have no idea how Toad's gonna be able to do a handstand. His arms cannot reach past his head.
Well, I mean, they showed it was possible.
Oh,
Like, it was
fair.
literally one of the last things they showed off during that trailer where Toad was able to somehow do a handstand. Though I did notice that there's some cases where he does control a slight bit differently from Mario, namely in how he climbs ladders.
Whew,
Where he
nice.
literally just hops down for like every step, considering
That's
the
cute.
little guy got no legs.
He has to go up at a time. And hey, nice, you
Woohoo!
destroyed all your rivals.
I got them all.
Yeah.
Got them all.
So-
Got them all.
C plus.
Actually,
But,
speaking of the got 'em all thing, they also showed like bits of cutscenes in there as well, or at least bits of the opening cutscene. And like on the one hand, it looks gorgeous. Like the rendering, it looks definitely like wonderful to see it in like actual motion.
I'm just glad it's an animated period as opposed to the stupid little slideshows we had in the original.
Yeah. On the other hand, and this is something
Wait a minute,
that like
Captain N!
wow.
Damn, I didn't think he was still gaming in this day and age.
But yeah, like on the other hand, someone mentioned that like if you like, if you examine the snippets of the opening where like Mario and DK are actually interacting before DK runs off, like I don't know if it's something that they can fix before release or if it's even going to be like a thing to worry about. Some people are concerned that Mario might not be quite as chatty in this game as he was in the original. You know, like the whole like, no you don't, no you don't.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if that part gets cut out, considering that was like that's an age-old voice clip, and I don't even know if they still have like the raw archive clip of that.
I think they do for some of them because the "Here we go" sounds similar enough.
It could, but yeah. It seems like it is going to still be Martinet for at least this last game, this Mario vs. Donkey Kong.
It's all archive stuff.
Okay. But then I'm stoked for that, and with the co-op, that will give us a new, fresh chance to show that game off with the co-op and stuff intact. Like
I did notice with the co-op too that they do change things up a slight bit, and that there's an added step to beating levels where you now have to find a second key as along with the first one.
Mm-hmm.
But on the bright side, the second key you need to find is at least one you don't have to constantly carry around. It actually floats on wings.
That's true.
Honestly, it's really funny in terms of us talking about covering it for the channel, because we've actually tried a couple of times to record it, but something just always ended up happening to keep us from doing it. And now that we have this remake coming out, it's like, maybe it was by chance.
Well, I mean,
It was like an act from the gaming gods that they gave us one more chance to, try it again, but under a fresh new coat of paint.
I just want you to know that anytime you ever refer to something as Nintendo God or Gaming God, I'm only going to now think of Wario God from Get It Together.
Oh, we'll get to that man in a minute.
Okay. So meanwhile, after that, I believe next they finally showed us what Untitled Peach game was.
Oh yeah, Princess Peach Showtime, or as some people jokingly called it, Balan 2.
Yes.
It's the Master Peach Theater.
It also keeps thinking.
Okay, that's a good one. I haven't heard that one actually.
Oh, geez, new things. But it's like it's either Balin or I keep. Part of me also kept getting vibes of Puppeteer, but mainly because of the costumes. But
Oh yeah,
but,
like there's definitely a lot of Puppeteer vibes. I'm just more so talking about like the fact that it's in a theater, and especially with how Grape looks.
No, come on.
Come on.
on.
Nice. Oh, geez, that guy almost. Freaking It's Me Alex almost got you there. You gotta be mindful of your energy there.
Yeah, at this point, I gotta actually just conserve what I have.
Oh.
But as far as like Showtime is concerned, it looks really great. Like honestly, like next to Luigi's Mansion 3, it is probably the prettiest looking game on the Switch. Like I am just amazed by how good it looks.
Also, maybe it's just me, but with the way that Peach's hair is rendered, I'm almost convinced that this might be a. Oh, crap! No!
Play defense.
Ugh.
Crash out.
Of course. Of course, my luck wasn't going to be that good.
But hey, oh dang! Actually, so if you crash, but you were. It was very. That was a tough looking track. Are these are these tracks directly pulled from the games?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
The original.
Interesting.
Man, I got beef hammered. Anyway.
At least you're better than E-Rock.
Yeah. At least I still got some points in the long run. But enough about But yeah, better luck next time. Don't go throwing that Lakitu-ass nonsense out in my face. But yeah, no, like I'm definitely looking forward to Showtime, and also I don't know why, but seeing it in action kind of makes me think that it's like a hint of things to come for whatever Nintendo has planned next as far as consoles are concerned.
Yeah,
Because it almost looks like it's. I mean, they're very being. You know what it is. I noticed the game is the game's kind of structured not unlike, say, like the older PlayStation era games like Crash Bandicoot or Pac-Man World, in that they're technically 3D platformers, but they're fashioned in such a way they're more so like 2.5D or hallway platformers in a sense.
I could see that.
And I know it's partially done that way because the game looks so gorgeous otherwise. Like it allows it to make the most out of what the Switch can do graphically.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'll do a couple more races as we keep on talking about this direct.
Yeah, like I guess just to keep things.
I'm gonna get my drink. You tell me about the Wario's.
Well, there were a couple more things in between Peach and the Wario. The last thing I'll say about the Peach, and I think this caught everyone by surprise. The costume mechanic definitely looks like a lot of fun. Like, and I've definitely seen like a handful of people, had their work cut out with it. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't a part of that. Peach and boots. But yeah, aside from that, it looks fun. Like, I'm definitely looking forward to trying it out myself. I'm glad that they finally decided to give Peach another chance at being, like, the main character of a game again, ever since her game on the DS.
And this time around, they're not relying on freaking women's emotions as their primary gimmick for gameplay.
No, instead they're relying on her fashion sense.
Which, I mean, hey, anybody can be fashionable.
Yee. Yeah, so I'm trying to think of like any noteworthy things that came out, because I don't want to go straight to Wario. I know there were like a couple of things after Peach that definitely popped up that were of interest. One that comes to mind is Detective Pikachu Returns, which, speaking as someone that has not seen the movie, the plot for it sounds eerily too similar to the movie's plot.
I mean, that's probably what they're going for with the sequel.
Yeah,
because now that's coming to become a thing. It's like it gives them all the more fresh material to work with. Even though, from what I heard, the game that's like the sequel took about 5 years to develop.
I suppose that's fair.
And I wouldn't be surprised. And I wouldn't be surprised if part of that is only because of COVID.
Yeah, that's fair. But yeah, like.
But otherwise, I mean, it looks cool though. I'm not gonna mince words. Maybe it's also just. I can understand it was primarily a thing with the original game as well. I kind of wish that game was a little more rich in its color palette.
Yeah, no, I can understand what you mean. Like, it's a little, like, it's not uncolorful by any means, but it feels like there could be more, like color diversity, I guess would be a good word.
It looks a little drabby for the Switch.
I reckon. Let me see. Then there's that. I know before. What was up?
Oh,
We were actually just
I
talking
was
about
saying back.
Detective Pikachu Returns.
Oh yeah. So I'm still surprised that's getting a sequel. Good to continue.
But yeah, I was just trying to think, like I know before Peach and Pikachu there was the Spy Family game that we like briefly touched upon.
Yeah, what was it called? The Spy on Operation Memories?
Yeah.
Which, you know, as someone who's actually been reading the manga this past while, I mean, I'm definitely looking forward to it.
There's that. There's also I'm just gonna say right now, Trumbo Champ looks like the single most idiotic thing I've ever seen, and I kind of love it because of that.
Oh, dude.
I'm honestly not
hi.
shocked that game got a Switch port.
I gotta show you the One Winged Angel. There's an official One Winged Angel. No, I don't know if it's fan made or official, but someone made an actual One Winged Angel song. Basically, if for anyone who may still be like either not getting the joke or confused about it, Trombone Champ is meant to sound like god awful nonsense. It's meant to sound bizarre and just utter utter butt trumpet Resident Evil noises.
Or I'm guessing
so somebody
it's...
made. Go ahead.
I was just saying, I guess it might also be kind of like what James implied. Like, people didn't know that it actually was a game before the Switch port came along.
Yep. But yeah, there was this One Winged Angel one, and the only thing I remember is that it's One Winged Angel song, and suddenly there's one guy who, because you see like the people playing the trombone in the background and stuff. One of the guys with the trombone just has a trombone stem, which is the long as the Masamune, just like, it's just so random. It's great. Anyway, I don't think there's any other. Wasn't there also a rhythm-based game that was shown off? Or am I thinking something else?
It was part of one of the sizzle reels.
Right, I do vaguely remember that Konami is making a rhythm-style game soon.
Like a rhythm-styled RPG, it looked like.
Yeah. That looked interesting. I'm gonna get. I'll keep an eye on that one.
It looked all right. Though to be honest, when I saw the thing, it looked like more so an indie project than something that Konami would put their name on.
Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, we know. Go ahead.
I feel bad because anytime they showed off the little sizzle reels that they had in between releases, my brain immediately assumed that it was just like, oh, here's all the indie titles coming to Switch.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, because it kept getting there.
I mean, they had to put them somewhere, considering they probably weren't planning on doing an indie world anytime soon.
True.
Yeah.
Especially amidst the whole Unity thing. That's a whole nother issue.
So
let's see. Let's see what else. So then, I guess in terms of the next first-party thing, I think they did give us a little bit more look-see into Mario RPG.
All right, that.
They did, and I'm honestly surprised with how much they're adding on. Like, they're adding in, like, straight-up team attacks now, and,
an actual post-game.
Post-game content?
Yeah, post-game refights with the bosses.
Which I'm actually really surprised by, because the original, it was like Paper Mario, it had no post-game.
Nope, not in the slightest.
It floors me, because as far as I know, the only Mario RPGs that ever had any form of post-game content at all were 1,000 Year Door and Super Paper Mario.
Right. So that's gonna be really interesting to see where all that goes. And I don't believe it was shown in the direct, but I know someone on Twitter or somewhere showed that they even will allow you to listen to both the original Shimomura soundtrack and the
yeah, you can toggle between the classic and remastered soundtracks, which I do appreciate.
Oh, such a fun soundtrack.
Definitely.
And yeah, and once again, I'm loving the fact that with the RPG, like a decade ago, I could have seen them watering down or like trying to like change things to try and keep the vanilla Puritan Mario experience intact. Only Goombas and Toads are. But they're actually keeping like all the like Punchinello, Booster. They're keeping like Yoritovich.
Well, that's because they're like actual
things.
boss characters. Like I don't really see a need to change up that. Like, I'd say it definitely looks like it's a different mentality from, like, when they tried to remake the Mario and Luigi games, where that was when they tried to sanitize it a little bit, but still keep some of the more noteworthy designs, like the villains.
Damn it.
Aww.
You guys need to pull your weight around a little more. Like, sheesh.
But yeah, like, I'd say it definitely looks like they have a lot more, like, freedom and less restriction compared to the Mario and Luigi remakes, which I know a lot of people appreciate.
Yeah. So once again, super looking forward to Mario RPG. Cannot wait to revisit that classic and see all that they do with it.
Maybe I'll actually be it this time.
Yahoo! What else? Another preview, another peek at Luigi Mansion 2, not Dark Moon, as I'm now having to refer to it.
Yeah, they decided to finally drop that whole thing when they're we were the only people on the planet that actually used that subtitle.
I don't
Yeah.
know why even.
Not really sure, considering it did treat itself as an actual sequel.
Right.
Yeah, I'm feeling very like interestingly conflicted because like as one of the few brave people that are willing to defend Dark Moon, I'm not entirely sure if I'll pick it up, mainly just because like I'm one of those people where whenever I see like re-releases like that where it's like unless they do something like significantly different, I'm not gonna bother picking it up if I already have the original. You know, it's part of why, you know, in spite of the beloved funky mode, I decide not to get Tropical Freeze on the Switch since I still have it on
Fair.
the Wii U. Like, unless it's something drastic than like what Mario 3D World did with the online multiplayer and Bowser's Fury, that I usually just skip out. So I'm gonna have to wait and see what all is different with Luigi's Mansion 2 before I consider double dipping on it.
Well, I'm going to end up doing it anyway, just because, too, well, for one thing, I barely ever touch my 3DS anymore. Secondly, it actually gives me a way to actually record the game for the channel.
That's true.
Finally! Because
Right?
because Citra did not care for it. So we can actually cover it. It was the
Citra
perfect.
hates Dark Moon.
It was the perfect storm.
So it's just like
but
the fan base.
Yep. But the other perfect. But now the other thing, the thing I'm so really concerned about or curious about is if they're going to. What I would love, what would make it the perfect version of the game for me, is if they would find a way to condense all the times that EGAD yanks you by a bungee cord into his office and just replaces those with like intercom communications, like in any other Luigi's Mansion game.
Right?
Because in Luigi's Mansion 2, likely, and I know exactly why they did it, it's because you have to remember the time this came out, the 3DS, it's like, oh, this is hurting people's eyes, so we need to have frequent breaks. That's why things like Kid Icarus Uprising and this had stages that from moment to moment would probably never last more than 5, maybe 10 minutes at most, and there was always ample break times in between. That's what seemed to happen with Luigi's Mansion. Dark Moon was... They would have these. They broke up a mansion into 5 different levels, and sometimes the level break really wouldn't even seem that justified. It's like, you got a key. Oh, good, I can use it in the door now. Nope, first we gotta come back and discuss on how you're gonna use it in the door. But I know I'm gonna use it in the door. Nope, but you gotta learn how we're gonna use it in the door.
That is
And
fair.
so
Like, with anything like they'll touch upon that. The only other drawback I'm seeing, and granted this is more of like a personal nitpick thing when it comes to like going back to a Dark Moon, is like again, I'm willing to defend Dark Moon in spite of everything. Luigi's Mansion 3 also has kind of spoiled me in terms of like gameplay and visuals,
Oh my
so it's
lord,
gonna feel really
James.
weird going back to Dark Moon after it.
I agree. It's gonna be interesting to see where that goes with that. And lastly, sorry James, you've been a real good sport doing this.
You're fine. Yeah, it's fine.
In terms of, I guess, the last, big news that they...
I'm just smoking here.
For sure. The last big thing that they surprised us all with is that it now seems, James, the Mario RPG fans get to eat good this next year.
Hey, wait a minute. I didn't you say you were going to talk about me first?
I thought you did while I was gone. My bad.
We didn't.
Okay. Move it.
Okay.
Yep, they discussed more about Move It. I mean, we basically got our first major exposure to Wario's voice, aside from that brief little snippet in the last Direct, and it's like,
It's better, but it's still gonna take some getting used to.
yeah. Like, it's definitely not the same natural fit that Mario and Luigi is with Wonder.
It definitely sounds like they're leaning more into the... It definitely seems like they're leaning into the gruff macho vibe of him rather than the more like gremlin greedy version of him.
In a way, they're leaning into the way you voice him, Logan.
Ooh. Oh,
Yeah.
gold ticket.
I mean, yeah, sometimes it pays to wait. They'll actually... Then the mini-pre will show up.
But yeah, from what I saw of Move It so far, it's like... That's another game where it's like, I'm interested, but I'll hold off until... I'll hold off in terms of getting it myself. But it does look really nice. Like, I do... Like a lot of people point out, I do appreciate how it does kind of feel like a nice successor to a Smooth Moves. Like, definitely in terms of how they present the minigames and whatnot.
Yeah, and I mean, it is nice to see that whole thing return, and I mean, I'm still gonna get it regardless, just because, I mean, I'm always up for a little more extra WarioWare. It's just a matter of if I'm gonna have the freaking room space to actually play the whole thing, especially if I'm going to do it for the channel.
Yeah.
It's also another thing where it's like where they showed off like some of the different types of minigames you'd have to play. Like when it did like the hand silhouette thing, it was the one instance where I had to tell myself, "Wait, the Joy-Cons have a camera?"
Technically,
Yeah, the IR it's been there since the beginning.
Technically, it does. Few games ever make use of it.
And that's how they fill up their ice cubes.
Yeah, it's fair. It barely ever happens. It's barely ever used. Like no game really ever uses it, except for 2 games in particular I can think of. One being Labo. Any Labo thing we usually sometimes use to censor, and Ring Fit
Remember
Adventure.
when Labo was a thing? Me neither.
Yeah, I know. And Ring Fit Adventure also kind of used it because that's actually part of how they could actually check your pulse, because infrared can like I guess actually detect like pulses in your thumb kind of thing. It's actually kind of neat. Yeah. I mean, I'm more so in it to
Oh
see
yeah,
this.
real quick. One pro tip regarding a 99 is
Yes.
that whenever you go up on whenever you jump off those ramps or whatever, your spin gauge automatically gets refilled.
Oh, so spin right before to try and get a okay. But yeah, beyond that, I'm mainly in. I don't think I'm gonna move it myself. I'm mainly gonna keep an eye out to see because I'm really hoping that we can get more of WarioWare Gold and less of WarioWare Get It Together, and that I love more of the interactions. I want to see more of that voice cast just have fun being those characters.
Well, just from that opening trailer, it looks like it's leaning a little bit closer to Gold in terms of presentation, because like it feels like that opening cutscene alone already has more voice work than what Get It Together has.
True. So we're gonna have to find out what happens there. Any other quick like side thing I can think of is we're getting the original Tomb Raider trilogy.
That's
That
surprising.
took me by surprise, considering that I figured like when I tend to hear like the general consensus that like the early Crystal Dynamics centric Tomb Raider games are just better.
Well, they are, and so now we get to see them put to the test, and they're going to have modernized controls, because that was one of the biggest pet peeves, is you have tank controls in the original.
Yeah.
I mean, it still looked pretty janky from the gameplay footage they showed us.
I mean, because it seems more like a renovation, like they're not rebuilding. It didn't look like they're rebuilding the game from the ground up, more so making it look prettier to me.
Yeah,
Essentially.
it's one of those, and apparently you can also, not dissimilar to stuff like the Monkey Island remakes, you can actually switch back and forth between the old graphics and the new graphics, which is actually really neat. As far as the new graphics go, they're serviceable, but I feel like they could be better.
I honestly could see myself playing with the classic ones more, just because at least like I could be more in the mood for seeing. You know what? It kind of gives me the same vibe as like, remember that Grand Theft Auto? Not as bad as, I will say really quick, not as bad, but remember that Grand Theft Auto remaster thing where it looked kind of like trying to keep the same.
The whole thing was pretty much just built off of AI.
Well, I'm saying that I don't think they used AI for this, but it still had that same uncanny vibe of like trying to have the original model and movements, but trying to have it with higher texture resolutions, so it just kind of looks a little. It looks a little too. Quick.
It's not too dissimilar to the Sonic Adventure DX approach.
Right. So, yep. While we're, I guess, getting ready for that, can we talk about the big thing now?
Well,
Yes.
not quite. There's a couple other interesting things that was brought up during that direct, like the fact that you guys remember that one old DS game involving the white-haired girl and her lost memories or whatever.
Oh yeah,
I keep
that was
thinking,
the-
I keep
that was
thinking
the
you're talking. I keep thinking you're talking about Hotel Dusk, but I think it's Trace Memory.
I think it's made by the same people.
Oh, that would explain it then. Yeah, Trace Memory.
Yeah, that was the.
Yeah, Trace Memory is making a return. This time they're actually bringing both the original game and the Japan-only Wii sequel to the States via the Switch.
Yeah, that was the other rumor that I was privy of before watching the direct, and like, I have no familiarity with this game or like its impact with people, so I'm just going off other people's reactions to it in terms of whether it's a big deal or not.
I just mostly remember it being heavily advertised on Nintendo Power, so that's why I'm vaguely familiar with it. At least as far as like the visual aspects concerned, I know next to nothing about its plot aside from the fact that this girl has no memory and that there's this that she has a connection with this young spirit.
Yeah.
Well,
But I
ain't getting any different.
Yeah, but I mean, you know what? It's nice to see that game get a proper return, and I mean, I hope it does better than, say, the Famicom Detective Club remakes did.
True.
Yeah.
But
Like, don't get me wrong; those are really damn good remakes. It's just that it completely fell under the radar.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's that. cool point-and-click adventure series coming there. Now I'm just waiting for a Zack and Wiki port suddenly. I would love that. now.
I almost, you know what? I just remembered something.
Yeah.
F-Zero is a racing game.
Yes.
Then a year later, Nintendo made another racing game, Mario Kart.
Oh, that's
Recently,
right.
the Mario
The-
Kart's getting its last bit of a DLC for 8 Deluxe.
And James's prayers were answered.
Oh,
They
yeah.
were answered and then some.
Go ahead, Hype.
It's interesting because like the trailer focused more on the characters we would get than the tracks because they only released one. They only showed off only one track from the cup that we're going to be getting. The rest of it was just focusing on the characters, which I will give them credit. Of the 4 characters that were announced, 3 of them were really good surprises.
Yes.
Yeah.
All the ones that we James got to be happy. Pretty much all of his favorite boys and girls are saved from Mario Kart Tour Purgatory.
Mm-hmm.
As I call it, Turgatory.
Purgatory.
Purgatory.
Ah, there you go.
Good one.
But yeah, no, I'm grateful. Like, and I mean, I know people are gonna get shit about it. But I honestly don't mind that Peach was among the characters they brought in, just because I mean, I don't know, it was kind of neat to see her come
It's
back.
neat, but I just look at it like, okay, so all
It
you
felt
did
like
was
the
just
most
you
random
gave.
inclusion is my thing.
It also feels like the most like Metal Peach kind of thing to me, where it's like, okay, like let's be real, all you did was you just put Peach, you put a new hat, and gave her a name tag that said, "Hello, I am Peachette, not Peach," and we're like.
I mean, would you have been just as mad if they just brought in Mario in his Akama outfit as the last playable character?
I want Hiker Wario.
Like Wario.
No, I want Donkey Kong Jr. with the SNES sprite recreation.
Oh, that would have been actually pretty funny.
You know, I'm surprised they didn't do that instead, considering this was primarily a DK-themed set of characters they were bringing in.
Or you know what? What if they just freaking just went all out, just so random weird, and gave us Pac-Man in this version?
Man, don't give me ideas.
I mean, that would have been
It would have been great, and then, a nice little callback to the arcade games.
Yeah.
Ooh.
You know what, though? Man, it's a weird thing you back on Jordan, considering that whole game's finally ending its, for lack of a better word, future...
service or future new content, I guess.
Future... Yeah, it's pretty much just going... It's finally done with dropping any new content towards, like, no new costumes, no new levels, none of that. It's primarily just going to stick around just for longevity's sake until that gets delisted as well.
Can I make a quick joke in regards to that? Because, like, they're mentioning, like, oh, we're not going to do any more content after this. And just, I imagine they make that announcement, then, like, the people that are in charge of making all, like, the character altas characters, they say that, they watch the direct, they see all the costumes that Peach has in Showtime, and they're just like,
Every one of those could have been a Mario Kart. That could be different character. That's like 7 different characters plus more. We don't actually know
Going
all
back
the
to
costumes.
Showtime real quick, that's still something I'm wondering. Who's developing that game? Because they've been pretty quiet on that front.
What if it ends up being next level?
yeah, that and the Mario and Donkey Kong remake. They didn't confirm anyone for that either.
It's-
They didn't confirm anything for that, but I'm pretty much convinced that they're still going to have NST work on it, considering they did work on the 3D World Port a little while ago.
Okay.
That, and I mean, they're the only people that actually develop those games.
And speaking of games that I really want to talk about. Sorry,
All
All right,
right.
let's bring out all the cardboard.
Can I?
So it's like, speaking of games that I'm actually really curious, because I don't know who develops them yet, Hype. Go ahead, Hype.
Well, don't worry. We'll talk about your thing. I just want to lead in with it with a very quick statement. Paper Mario fans, you're no longer allowed to complain about anything ever again.
I don't think they will. I think they're gonna. I think the most they'll complain about is if anyone tries to say, it's like, I prefer to work on, like, this is the, like, finally, they will, this will, I don't know. Pretty much anything I could try and say, Emil has already said, amplified 2,000%. Just all you have to know is that out of nowhere, we haven't even gone Mario RPG yet, but this already is an incredible sign to me that it seems like between this and Wonder, I like this. It seems like we are officially getting out, like, full on, the gloves are coming off. It seems like we're trying to step away from that.
They're giving the love to the RPGs again.
Well, not just that. They're giving love to things that are not just the Mario Bible Mario things. The things that supposedly had been the reason behind Origami King not having
I would have
big
loved if I
things
actually
and
KO'd that guy as we
Yeah.
just a final insult. But no, like they're accepting like new and wacky things, and Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door is coming to the Switch in a full remastered like work of it.
Actually, if I can comment on the trailer real quick for that game, I'm not the only one that felt a little confused the moment they went to like the beginning bit where Harry makes a delivery. They play the freaking Paper Mario 1 theme. And I'm just thinking to myself, wait, are they remaking the first game?
That's what I thought, and then I saw Rogue Core. I was like, wait a minute. So, maybe the original intro. Apparently, everybody already knew which game it was because I guess Mario Part. I guess not Mario Part. I guess Thousand Year Door does open with that same storybook on the desk. I forgot.
It does. Oh, I mean, yeah. That's part of what I was led me confused. Like, oh wait, are they gonna do like a whole like I don't know, Crash Insane / Spyro Reignite where they're gonna remake both games?
That would
but
be
no,
incredible.
They're just settling with Thousand Year Door.
I really do hope they hold on to that engine though, because I would love to play the original. But we have the original on NSO.
I feel like the only reason they're holding off on the first game is because it's already on NSO.
I mean, that's what I'm thinking too. But otherwise, yeah, no, like Paper Mario Thousand Year Door is finally getting a remake. I mean, world rejoice and everything.
Yeah, just like, and it is not, very similar to what we talked about with like a Mario RPG. They are like doing their dangdest to like preserve a lot of the weird, quirky uniqueness that game has. Like, all the different Toads are back, to the point where they're even adding new different Toads as well, judging from like some small snippets we've seen here and there.
And they're not afraid
the purple Toad that was totally dressed in some sort of Asian attire.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they're not afraid to have. And they're not afraid to have all the weird dark elements of it, like the freaking noose. Or someone pointed out, they even kept in the original opening thing that if you look at the background, two Piantos absolutely mug a guy.
Yeah,
just kind of leave him in an alley.
Still kept I know there's people that are speculating that there's the possibility they'll actually bring back because they might be still basing it off of the Japanese release, that they might still bring in the whole Toad murder scene.
Oh, jeez, I forgot that happened.
That's also something.
Or detail. It's not a scene. It's more like a background detail you can find where you find like a whole chalk outline of a toad.
Yeah.
I think it was in a house or something like that.
Yeah, it was like I think the chalk outline is still there in the
joke.
English version. They just got rid of the blood.
Rogueport is no joke.
I thought they got rid of the whole thing entirely.
All you gotta know is that
there was still the chalk outline there. Although
I don't remember the chalk outline.
Although that whole thing of like regional differences does make me curious about something. Is that like they kind of show off that it's not going to be like fully one-to-one with the script, because there's like a bit with Bowser, that before they showed off the gameplay, like him yelling at his his lackeys. Like what he says is technically different from what he says in the original game, and it makes me wonder how much of the script do you think is going to get rewritten for this remake?
I feel like there's not going to be. If there's anything that's going to be written, I don't know. I get the feeling it's not going to be too drastic. Just like maybe one or two bits at most.
Like the Bruce Lee, like maybe some localization things will be. Oh no, Bruce Lee was Mario RPG.
Bruce Lee was Mario RPG. I know that for certain is going to get rewritten.
But between the two, I'm sure at most localization will be like updated, modernized, keep in line. But the character designs are all there. Meanwhile, one detail that I'm liking that they're keeping in this one, I think more so than any other Paper Mario game before. Everyone's all like, so far a number of people have been like, oh my gosh, they're doing something just like Undertale. They're making different sounds. Meanwhile, me, a Banjo-Kazooie player, is like, that's what I'm thinking.
It is interesting that they add that in. I agree. And I like the fact that,
which, I wouldn't be surprised if that's just them acknowledging, or not acknowledging, more so just, I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. Continue.
With the voice
speaking
stuff,
of voices, that is something that I do find funny, because, not dissimilar with, the Mario and Donkey Kong remake, all of Marnie's clips from that are still kept on board. Even Scott Burns' Bowser is still kept intact.
Right.
Yeah, that I'm a bit surprised by.
I mean, it's something. I mean, I'm sure it is paying homage to an era of Bowser, which Thousand Year Door comes from. I'm stoked for that. Gui was absolutely stoked for that. It's
of course.
Many people do consider it to be, if not the most, if the most.
You know what? We do need to ask one very important question though.
Mm-hmm.
Considering this is a remake and all, and they're bringing it back for the modern era, is there a possibility that they could give us Luigi and the Magic Compass?
Oh,
I'm not gonna hold my breath for that, but I will think that it'd be neat if they add that.
I randomly saw
a
tweet from Super Mario Brothers blog, or whatever that one.
Super Mario Broth.
Super Mario Broth. Let me see if I can find it really quick.
Oh, is it about the comic that they're working on? Because I saw that.
Yeah, an important announcement. In light of the recently announced remake, I've decided to revive the Paper Luigi and Marvelous Compass comic. which will now be published
cool.
on Twitter at Marvelous Luigi.
Mm-hmm.
So we can finally see whatever happened with all that. I don't know. It's wild. Many people consider Thousand Year Door to be, if not the most complex or the most engaging RPG, they've definitely referred to it as probably the highlight, like the pinnacle of the.
It is
Paper
definitely
Mario
one of the most
franchise.
impactful ones. Something I'm curious about, because I know that they definitely showed off when they talked about the Mario RPG remake that they are like adding in like a couple of quality of life changes and whatnot.
Damn. Just sorry,
well.
just noticing the votes there.
My thing when it comes to like the Thousand Year Door remake is that, like, you know, for as lauded as it is, I am curious if they're gonna touch up anything on that game as well outside of the visuals. Because I'm gonna be honest, like, as much as there are a lot of people that love sucking up on that game, there are a few things that I think could do with being touched up or removed at Thousand Year Door. Like, maybe for one thing, make it not quite as egregious with backtracking.
Right, like the whole general white quest and all that.
Yeah.
At most, maybe they'll add, since they've proven they're not against doing things. Maybe they'll be nice and maybe add better fast travel or just increase your movement speed. In the
I
areas.
know there technically is a form of like fast travel in the original game with like the pipes that you can find underground, but you still kind of have to go out of your way to get to them anyway.
Gotcha. I mean, and they're also remastering the soundtrack, which I have heard some mixed things on the instrumentation of the soundtrack, but I'm down for it.
Most especially from an old friend of ours who absolutely
Current friend.
rather they cut the jazzy shit for like one game, and I'm I'm sorry, Monica, but I'm just gonna say I'm kind of grateful that they're remaking the soundtrack just because that's my favorite form of Paper Mario soundtracks now, and I was always curious to see how Thousand Year Door would be remixed in that fashion, and we're finally getting that answer now.
So I guess that does make go ahead.
I'm gonna be a little bit of the middle ground in that, like, I can understand where Monica's coming from, because it's like compared to a lot of the RPGs, I'd argue even to a lot of the games itself, Paper Mario, like Thousand Year Door soundtrack definitely has like a very distinct style to it, to a point where it does feel weird hearing that style in like a completely different form of instrumentation. I don't hate it myself, it's just gonna take a bit for me to get used to it.
I mean, that's completely fair.
So that does leave me wondering then, do we know it? I don't know if we know it or not. Is this Intelligent Systems? Is this another?
It should still be Intelligent Systems.
Because I don't know. Like,
I mean, what else are they working on right now aside from like whatever next
Fire
in the Fire
Emblem
Emblem franchise?
I would laugh if it actually was handled by someone else.
I mean, it's not the last time. It's not the first time we've seen Mario, like Nintendo games, handled by a different company. They do the porting of them or something.
Right.
So.
And I mean, honestly, looking back on that remake is kind of interesting considering the fact that, like, aside from the obvious little, like, most especially the backgrounds and like some subtle details, is like the character graphics are more or less the same, and I'm both impressed though also kind of mixed on that.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, I feel like there's some things regarding like the newer form of Paper Mario that could have been carried over, like especially like the way Mario looked and like some of the Mario characters look. Like seeing Peach in her old N64 era dress in the modern era is so weird.
There's two things.
There
There are two things from that though I've noticed. Oh lord, there's two things.
Oh no!
Ow!
On an ending note, there are two things I did notice though that I like. Number one is I am glad that they are ditching the white outline thing. I like just getting to see the sprite for itself. Doesn't have to be that.
I think it looked better. It did look better in Color Splash and Origami King. In Paper Jam, it looked ugly as shit.
Yes.
But at the same time, I mean, I can live with or without it. Though I also am impressed. I am intrigued that Thousand Year Door's remake is sort of, continuing the paper aesthetic, but in a slightly different way. Now it's mostly like everything's more like a cardboard.
Honestly, stylistically, it kind of feels like a compromise between both the forms, in my opinion.
Well,
so that's kind of what I'm getting.
Because I was gonna say one thing I really liked. The other key thing I noticed that I really liked is the sprites look a lot more layered. Like for instance, on Peach, you can actually see like her hair is like on different layers, like behind her. It's not all one solid. So that's really cool. I guess this will be our last race. I think because we've been going for a while. Okay, sorry. What do you think of F-Zero 99, James? Do you think this will hold up amongst its fellow 99 brothers and sisters?
I get the feeling it's going to have about as long of a shelf life as some of the I like it personally. I hope it does last longer than about as long, like maybe a year or so. But on the whole, realistically, I'm expecting this to be only last like maybe half a year at most.
Alrighty.
What do you think will need to be done to ensure that it has some form of like longer shelf life compared to like what other 99s do?
More modes first and foremost. Like more modes, maybe a little more extra, like maybe have its own, like kind of like what Pac-Man and Tetris are, to like have their own like
Tournaments?
dedicated like
Sabotage system?
expansions or whatnot that you actually have to pay actual dosh for.
Oh, I see. You have to add more modes and things.
Right. Because I know, like, when like Super Mario 35 came out, like, I think they already said from the outset that game was only going to be, like, last, like, maybe half a year at most, and they pretty much stuck to their guns up until the end of it, so I get the feeling F-Zero's going to do the same. Although I do also hope that, goes without saying, I hope the F-Zero shenanigans doesn't end with this, because, I mean, this is a fantastic start to another one, to, a possible return for the series.
Yeah. Who knows, maybe they might actually follow up on those rumors of a GX port.
Maybe. You live in hope. I mean, now that you bring that up, it's like, imagine like what other GameCube games they could remake for the Switch, or even whatever is going to succeed at.
Well, let me see. Like, as far as like Switch games, like one that I wouldn't mind. It's funny because they technically did get a remake, but you know what? I'll go ahead and say it. I know other people have said as well. I wouldn't mind seeing them bring over the Wii U Wind Waker port over the Switch.
Agreed, very much so. Both that and Twilight Princess, I wouldn't mind seeing make a comeback. Actually, speaking of things that have already been remade that should get a proper comeback, the original Luigi's Mansion. I feel like it's one of those things where, like, have all 3 games on the Switch, or whatever.
But yeah, like, I honestly, like, as far as, like, remakes, or as far as, like, GameCube stuff that they could bring over to current gen, like, I'm trying to rack my brain, because I feel like a lot of them has been, like, touched upon to a degree, because, like, you have Sunshine via 3D All-Stars, we just got finished talking about Thousand Year Door, we brought up stuff like Wind Waker and whatnot. I think, in my opinion, as far as, like, first-party Nintendo GameCube games, the only big ones I can think of that are left that they could probably do is either bring over any version of Jungle Beat over to the Switch, or if you want to get more crazy, there is still Wario World.
There's that too. Or heck, maybe, another recent game, Kirby Air Ride.
Oh yeah, there is that.
What are your thoughts on the Battle Logan?
Thoughts on the driving? It's fun. Gets you from point A to point B. Sometimes you get to kill a man.
Sometimes you get to kill him and write it off as a race-related accident.
Look at Nathan there. He looks so mean with his face like.
Yeah, I mean, he should have seen it coming. He had to sign the liability waivers.
And backing up, what is that Grand Prix thing in the upper right there again?
Basically, it's pretty much true to what it says. A Grand Prix will start up on that exact moment in time, and it's not too dissimilar to the mini Prix we've been doing. It's just that I think the stakes are a little higher.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Oh, and finally, what are the tickets that we've been getting so far?
Those are what you're going to need to spend in order to go to the Grand Prix in general, because they cost about 3 tickets in order to access.
Yeesh. Okay, I see. And then at that point, then you earn better rewards for it. But okay. I mean, but are you? How about this? Over the next 3 to 5 years, let's be very generous about it. Over the next 3 to 5 years, are you okay with this being F-Zero's main representation by Nintendo?
I'm not against it, personally speaking. I'll say as far as F-Zero is concerned, my biggest, for lack of a better word, attachment to the series is primarily with the original game and GX. It's kind of weird to say that I don't really care too much for X, but I mean that's a topic for another day.
Right.
But otherwise, it's how do I put this? It's I don't mind if they do what they've been doing with Star Fox recently, where they mostly stick with the classics for representation.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, I also wouldn't mind them just, trying to be a little more considerate and shake things up.
Right.
I guess it's also just a matter of, what could you do to, shake up for a new F-Zero? Because I remember that was the excuse for the longest time, where it's the reason they didn't make a new F-Zero is because they couldn't think of anything new to do with it.
Well, I mean, I'd say this game already has the perfect answer for that they could apply to it, an eventual, a new game. Just bring the same game as GX and put online. That's all you need.
But I guess the argument that they've made is that, but we have Mario Kart, especially when you put on 200cc, it may as well be
F-Zero. It's also Mario Kart doesn't usually go nearly as fast as F-Zero does.
I think I think they need high speed, and I think they need to lean into the fact that you have an actual health bar. Like, it needs to be. That was the point, but that was the point I had been under the impression was that F-Zero is meant to be a harder Mario Kart just in general.
It's a much more harder, a much more true to its roots racer with a high speed stakes.
Right, with no items to help you out. Like, you have to race good. You got to be good.
I mean, heck, the whole point of its title, F-Zero, is supposed to be a play on F1 racing.
Yeah, but in the future, I guess
with zero G's.
I think that would be the other thing personally, is that I think they need to lean heavily into the story next time. For me personally, like have like maybe kind of like hear me out, kind of like maybe like Jack X, where you have this like cutscene, like you have the story going on in the background, to learn more about Falcon and whatever he's in the middle of. Because I always felt like there was I never really got the gist of like what a story was behind this, but they clearly have a lot put into all the different characters and people that you find and meet and race and
I
kill.
mean, they sort of attempted that with the GX with its story mode, but at the same time, it's also very much a delicious product of its time.
Right. So,
which I honestly wouldn't mind more of. Just be a little more considerate of the difficulty.
Yeah.
Because some of those levels are borderline horse shit.
Agreed. But yeah, I mean, otherwise, fairly solid direct. I was definitely not disappointed, and I am very excited to see what this can mean for the new era of Nintendo.
I give it 4
into.
trombones out of 5.
Yeah, just blare that son of a bitch.
And
But yeah, as I put on this nifty little new backdrop, let me actually rotate the thing real quick. There we
Yay.
Is anyone even in there? It almost looks like an empty seat.
It's the Ghost Rider.
go. the ghost of Captain Falcon Senior.
Dylan there. And oh, you did win first points. Congrats.
Yep, for at least one of them. So yeah, I think with that all said, everybody, that's it for our time with F-Zero 99, and also our current thoughts on, what all Nintendo has given us within the past couple of days. I mean, I guess the last thing I'll say on the matter is that I can't be the only one that's kind of amazed that we got a new mainline direct literally only a few short months after the last one, which that was already chock full of interesting stuff, not the least of which is a brand new 2D Mario.
Yeah.
Oh my god, it's gonna be so fun.
Which, it's funny, because I remember a few people complained about the fact of, like, why didn't we see any Wonder news in this direct? And I'm like, Wonder already had, like, its own dedicated direct before this. I think it's fine.
Yeah, that's kind of that's the way I see it too. Though it also does make me wonder if maybe we could have just waited a little bit longer to have like a whole blowout of that of awesome like fantastic news from like both sides of the. I mean, well, not that it really matters in the long run. We got what we got, and I'm very much looking forward to the future of Nintendo's products, most especially the likes of the Paper Mario remake, Showtime, and the Mario vs. Donkey Kong remake, just because that's a game I heavily grew up with.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's really all I can say on the matter. And for those that don't already have a Nintendo those that still have, Nintendo Online, I definitely would recommend giving F-Zero 99 a shot because most importantly, for those that already have the Online, it's free.
Beyond that, I'm also interested to see what comes to, if maybe by next year we'll learn about the Switch 2.
Yeah.
I'm hoping we get something regarding, because that's just been like people have been dogpiling that whole thing in the rumor mill for a while now.
Yeah.
Especially for a game like Peach.
Something's got to come of it.
Well, especially for a game like Peach Showtime, I almost feel like it needed that to like be that.
Yeah,
pretty.
because I mean, again, the way that game looks all rendered, like again, they're mostly keeping a minimalist approach, which is pretty important considering with all that they're doing with it.
Mhm.
But I don't know, it just leads me to wonder if this was meant to be for the next big system, or if that's I don't know. It's food for thought for the future. With that all said, literally 5 seconds as
The
the
Grand
next
Prix,
Grand Prix
yeah.
actually starts.
We stalled just long enough. Look at that.
We stalled long enough for the next Grand Prix to open.
Oh, Night League. Wow.
I mean, honestly, should we just go and do this?
I
Why
feel like
not?
let's do that off script. Oh.
What? Oh, he's just doing corn.
Yeah, it does. You know what? It does look like a lot of fun. You know what? Screw it. Let's try it.
Okay.
The Grand Prix is a series of 5 consecutive races with 99 pilots. Score points in the Grand Prix, and you can land on a weekly leaderboard.
Okay. Going over.
I am going to likely die.
Because I imagine
Oh,
this
don't-
is the best of the best of the best.
Don't worry, we believe in you.
If I can't be the best, then I can surely be the worst.
Have you ever played the? Did you ever play the Game Boy Advance version of F-Zero?
I have, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm not really a fan of the GBA F-Zeros. They feel a little too slippery for my liking.
There. All right.
Which is so weird, considering I'm not gonna pretend like the original Super NES game isn't like slippery in its own right, but I feel like I have more control over my vehicle in that game than I do the GBA games.
Yeah. I guess, like, as far as, like, conversations go, while James does his best on this race, the only thing I can
I
think...
feel like, I feel like, did we cover everything that the Direct have to offer? Because I feel like we're missing
I'm
something.
gonna look it up.
We covered everything that was, like, especially noteworthy. Like, everything afterwards
Right.
was just stuff that's, like, I'm sure is fine, but doesn't necessarily appeal to the three of us.
If not, I'm gonna look.
I mean,
if not, I'm gonna look it up
maybe.
right. If not, I'm gonna look it up to
It's just
figure.
like, I feel like there has to be something else.
I got you. Continue hype with your thing while I look up anything else.
We could talk about the fact that Sony put out a state of play on the exact same day.
Oh yeah, that happened, and I have not heard anything of it, so I assume it was just a very run-of-the-mill stream.
The most I heard of it was we got a new Spider-Man trailer. They showed off a little bit more of its exploration, and that still looks good. I'm not going to get a PS5, but it still looks good.
Hold on. I just remembered one thing that I feel bad for sassing Sony earlier, but it's like I do remember one thing that they did bring up: the fact that freaking Final Fantasy VII Rebirth got a release date.
Yep.
Nice.
It's actually not honestly closer than we expected.
Yeah. It takes two discs to do it. And then I did.
Yeah, 2 discs on a PS5 console, like that has to speak volumes for how fucking loaded this game's gotta be. Hopefully for the right reasons.
Claims to have over 100 hours of gameplay. So goodness me. Continue.
100 per disc, or
I think just in total.
Not per disc.
In total.
So you know what that does remind me, Logan, are you aware of the nifty little deal that they're currently having for digital PS5 owners?
Well, unfortunately, I'm a physical. I have the mine has the disc.
Well, I mean,
slot
it
in
works either. I mean, it works either which way. It's basically talking about the digital version of the game, where like apparently there's this really surprisingly like solid sale that's going to be happening, or is already happening. That you can get both Rebirth and Remake for literally around $70.
That's for both games. That's a very surprising good deal.
And I mean, even then, after that, like it's only for a limited time, and then afterwards, like the price for both games is going to be around $90.
Right.
Which even that in of itself is still like for those that are a fan of the game, a steal of a deal.
I'll look into
Imagine.
that. The other big thing
Ooh,
I saw.
nice.
Nice. The other thing I saw that was
Sorry, Red Toad, you've been toasted.
B minus.
Toasty!
The other thing I saw that looked interesting, well, especially as far as how this channel will be affected, is that they did confirm that they are finally going to give us another story Ada Wong DLC to Resident Evil 4 remake.
Oh yeah, separate ways.
Separate
I
ways.
mean, I'd honestly be shocked if they didn't bring that back in some capacity.
So yeah, we'll get to A. We'll have more Resident Evil 4 gameplay, and B. Hype will get to hear more of the new voice of Wesker in this remake trilogy. In this remake.
Speaking of
timeline
4, that
consistency.
does make me curious, because that is something I know you and Matt planned a while ago. Like, you guys planned on doing the original RE4 in a very spectacular fashion, I gotta say. I'm looking forward to seeing people's reactions to it. Does the 4 remake complicate those plans in any way?
Well, again, the main thing was that originally we were going to do that. Then we decided that because 4 remake does already a lot of stuff. Long and short of it, we abandoned any and all footage we had of that initial attempt at doing 4, and we're thinking we're just gonna. So now we're trying to see, can we do that weird thing but with 4 remake? Like, will that even be something
I
we
feel
can?
like it has to be possible.
We're gonna give it a shot, but
Because I miss the idea of you being Matt's legs.
now the thing to.
No, he wasn't. No, were you his legs or were you his gun?
I was his gun. He was the legs. Because I could aim with my mouse and keyboard. It was us compromising in a really fun way. But no, it's we're gonna see. It's gonna be complicated for one reason. Hype. on the way we did it originally, we are hard the thing and emulated the original Nintendo Wii remake, Nintendo Wii make, or Wii port, whatever. And because of that, I could easily, say, hey, let's have the controller and the keyboard do these things, kind of like how Doug and I did, our Scooby-Doo thing. But stay tuned for that. But with Resident Evil 4 Remake, since it's not emulatable and it is trying to run off of a native control thing, I don't know if it'll accept controller and keyboard simultaneously. Unless I maybe do a Joy to Key thing to maybe do that. I don't know. It's going to take some work. We're going to have to look into that. In any case, or I give him control of the keyboard, and Matt will have to do the one thing he fears most: actually be a PC gamer. So while I figure out what's going to happen with that. That's about all I know from the Sony State of Play. I was looking through the direct thing, and I did find a couple things we forgot.
What's that?
All right, well, what you got?
The Prince of Persia, the new Prince of Persia game that looks a lot like a Strider remake, kind of like Metroidvania.
I mean, that game's been news of that game's already been around for a little while, but they did expand upon that. I mean, I'll still say for what it's worth, I'm not a fan of the design of the Pro Tag, but the gameplay itself is honestly looking pretty sick.
For sure. Okay, let's see again. We had Showtime, Saga Emerald, a new Saga game.
Yeah, could care less.
Fair enough.
Like, I know that game's mostly very heavily built around RNG.
James, the run and gun Arnold Schwarzenegger game.
Oh, Contra.
Oh yeah, fucking Contra.
It's way forward.
Not gonna lie, it looks ugly.
It's way forward. Has had an off day.
I mean, yeah, I keep forgetting that technically WayForward's making that game, but I don't know. It probably will run better on anything else but the Switch because the trailer footage made it look very janky.
For sure.
I'm sure it'll at least play fine at least.
Probably. And I mean, there's 4-player support, which is fine. It's just that's like the second time Contra's had anything new to its name on the Switch, and it looked just like the first time. It looks like it might not hold up to the high lofty standards of the original games.
Right. And apart from that, most I saw was just a couple other things. Getting some new sequels to things we weren't expecting, like Wargroove, and a couple new. And I think it was you who mentioned that. Blizzard needs to do what League of Legends and Riot are doing. Because I will say, fun fact, Riot has had kind of an equally disturbing past, same as Blizzard. Don't look into it; it's unfortunate.
Yeah, don't look into it unless you're one of those that actually get your jollies out of that crap.
It's unfortunate. Riot had a very similar harassing workplace kind of thing. But regardless, as far as how they're handling the League of Legends IP, they're I think doing a really solid job of it. It's trying really to give it a wide variety of genres.
Speaking as someone that knows jack and squat about League of Legends, I see footage of the new games that are coming out that are in association with it. Is it an unfound comparison to say that it looks like the Chocobo Tales of League of Legends?
Which one? Are you talking about the Bandle one, the Yordle one, or the one with Nunu and the kid and the big?
Honestly, either of them.
Okay. Bandle definitely gives me Stardew Valley vibes, where it's it's more like city building and dealing with all the little cute little Yordles. And then the Nunu one kind of gives me similar vibes to Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons, where it seems to be more like a co-op adventure platformer thing. But I figured you would get a kick out of Bjorn hype. He's a very fun he's the guy with the big shield.
That's the giant white furry guy, right?
No. Bjorn's the.
He looks like a mighty Russian.
Yeah, Bjorn's the strong.
The guy that punches the thing at the end.
Yeah, he is a fun, lovable shield Boy Scout, and he helps them. He's a good dude. I don't know. I know the kid is Nunu. I forgot what his friend is, but that the two of them in League of Legends and gameplay, the two of them are rarely ever apart. They work together kind of thing. I don't know. But I mean, hell, the fact that it's getting you interested. If I were to show you footage of the MOBA game, you would not have cared at all. Meanwhile, just
I know what League of Legends is. It's just that I just never really had much interest in it or a lot of its spin-offs. The only reason I ask is because it's the only other noteworthy thing from the Direct I can think of that we haven't talked about already.
True. Also, those bomber cars, were those
I do still share the sentiment that, with Logan, that, Overwatch could definitely take a few steps from that, considering that, those characters feel like they shouldn't be relegated as just your typical,
dumb TF2
that whole
thing.
genre is.
TF2 team-based shooter thing. Nice.
Yeah, exactly. Team-based shooter.
It's well, the problem is the fact the game gets so samey. Like they clearly have a world they want to explore with it. Hell yeah, they have a world they want to
And then
explore.
they
need
just
to do more.
drop any plans of expanding on that completely.
Yeah.
And just nixing completely destroying the entire point of making the sequel.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, 100%. There was supposed to be a single-player thing. They just said, it's too hard. Meanwhile, Baldur's Gate comes out, and I will never not call out the fact that when Baldur's Gate 3 came out, the knee-jerk reaction of not in support of, oh my gosh, this is incredible what they've done.
I
Like,
just noticed that one Firestein Rig user has a freaking Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat-esque input there.
oh, love it. All right,
Oh, well, race
top
forward.
20. Top 20 advance. But,
DK Quagmire is one of my rivals.
whoa, it looks very windy now. Oh, yeah, it's because it's called Deathwind. Why am I surprised? No, but just the fact that, like, they...
I forget if I already brought this up in the video, but I do appreciate that for Death when they actually show you the wind this time around, as opposed to just making that there's no wind particles or anything to prove that there's wind, but just that your vehicle moves in a very awkward position.
So they did actually do this in the original, where you are actually having to fight like a severe current of like wind force.
Hence Deathwind.
Oh, geez. All right, this is gonna be very interesting then. All right.
I thought
while
I
they're heading-
invented the Death Wind.
On the bright side, these tracks, from what I've noticed, are a little more wider than they were in the original, so I mean, it's gonna be... I mean, I think that's the only reason why they actually had this thing work out in the first place, since we're... Again, otherwise it'd just be bumper cars, the game.
True.
Also, no, Wario, you invented Death Steam, not Death Wind.
I thought I invented the purple wind. Silent but deadly.
That is a game that I wanted to give a fair shot for this channel, but it's just there's a lot of dialogue and a lot of backtracking across very similar maps for me.
Uh-oh.
Oh.
I gotta love it. But what was I gonna say? Like, honestly, if there's any game that could use a remake, maybe that one. Or not even just a remake, it's a straight up reimagining. Because I think I just think the idea of a proper like the whole Wario Master of Disguise game, like that just seems like a cool gimmick in and of itself.
I just think in general we need another. I think it's been a high enough time. Once you get the most out of WarioWare, move it by all means. I just think it's about high time we get a new Wario platformer.
Yes, 100% yes.
I think it's about time.
Like, especially if it's it's been taking this long for Wario Land 4 to get put on the NSO service, remake it.
Yeah, maybe.
Like, if Mario vs. Donkey Kong of all things can get a remake, why not Wario Land?
I am stoked for that again. Like and for anyone, because there has been. Oh jeez,
God.
that was a close one.
Be careful because the flashing. Be careful because the flashing vehicles are bomb droids.
Are those in the
duly
original?
Yes.
Oh no, they do a lot of
yeah,
damage.
that takes a large chunk.
Out of my way, shit heels!
Whew.
Nice.
You made it to the last race.
Hooray! In the top 10 too.
See, we told you you
And-
could do it.
Oh,
Take that, shake.
shake.
Oh no, my clocks!
No.
Ah, my clocks! Devil damn!
Come on up on there. Anyway, let me click on this and double check to see if there's anything new information.
I wonder if
also,
something happens if you type in that code on your Switch.
Also, someone just threw. Also, someone just threw this out there that I.
Silence. I forgot that was the name of the actual level. Right, this is like I think this is like the last level of the first Grand Prix.
Well,
This one I remember having some disgustingly tight turns, so this will be interesting.
get ready with that drift button.
And hey, you know what? We have just 10 we're 10 racers shy of having the amount of racers in a typical F-Zero race.
So there you go. Now we can do this properly. And it'll actually feel like an actual race and not a clusterfuck. Anyway,
It's still a clusterfuck at the end of the day.
let's see what else I've learned. Oh my lord. Let's see what else I've learned about the state of play thing. It became noteworthy, and someone said, okay, this has to be our explanation then, this has to be our justification now, is the fact that I think Christina V is, I guess, going to now be in Mortal Kombat 1.
As grunts for a character as opposed to literally just voicing her completely.
Because here's the problem, and this is the part where everyone's like, okay, this needs to be justification then. The
hang on
character
real quick,
herself is...
I had to take a second to check on the dogs. Are we talking about the Devil Damn Mortal Kombat thing?
Yes. So the fact that the full context is that it's a character who they really wanted a celebrity voice. They really wanted a celebrity voice, so they got Megan Fox, of notable Michael Bay exploitation fame, who is now playing this character. But people had to. But the fact that like they couldn't even get her to do all the lines that she's supposed to do. Maybe that's the sign that we should just stick with actual voice actors who do this for a living and do this.
And from what I've heard, like the bits that she did do aren't exactly anything to write home about. Like the whole like, "Do you not fear me in the least?"
It's a name. It's that's all they want. They want the name behind it. They don't.
I mean, I could understand what they were doing if like maybe Christina, if she was like voicing alternate skin for the character as opposed to just
Right,
random
yeah.
actors for like one character
And-
who shares like 2 voices.
And they're even doing that with Johnny Cage and the Jean-Claude Van Damme skin.
Right.
Right, I mean that makes sense, but this just seems like it's pushing it.
It's just to me I'm just bummed because to me it just looks like they're throwing Christina V a bone and they're like, I think Christina V could easily be her own character.
Oh,
in
exactly.
Mortal
She could
Kombat.
easily be
not just being throwaway grunts because we need someone to fill this out. Like, I don't know. It's
Come on.
careful. Just at least finish.
Oh!
That'll do.
You got
Listen, Nate.
you made the top 20. You cleared the pre.
Yep, top 25, even though there were only 18 racers still alive.
That's still worth something. Hey, look at that. There you go.
That's still a victory in my eyes.
Yeah.
Sorry, Toby boy. Maybe keep working on chapter 3 already. Why don't you?
Sorry, Matt. Maybe another time.
Raymond, no one loves you. That's mean. I shouldn't say that.
Oh,
that's
man.
mean. I shouldn't say that. By the way, I don't know if we'd actually said it so far, but Rayman DLC really awesome. I'm very much looking forward to more from that from Ubisoft.
Oh my god, that Blue Falcon is sporting some very, very flashy colors there.
Yeah.
Wow, Phoenix. So now what happens now? Now what happens now that we've completed the Grand Prix? Oh, leaderboard.
We just get more points. That's it.
Ah,
At least I think that's it.
now you get to do it all over again.
Also, I get my name put on the leaderboards.
Alrighty, well, whoa, nice. And for leveling up, we acquire a pilot card backed up to speed to victory.
And a new color. Now we're the Orange Falcon.
Oh, for Spooky Month. And I don't know what that is.
Hey, and we got Silence for practice. And hey, I got my first decal.
Nice.
Oh, nice. So cool. So it's like a sticker of, okay. Solid.
And another.
Nice. That's a cool. I like
Wow,
those.
they're really
And
spoiling
another.
me today.
And you get to.
Holy shit!
And
And
another.
another. Okay, that's no more. Okay,
Wow.
get going.
That was the greatest Christmas present ever.
Said F-Zero fans.
Are all those comic artists based off of Nintendo Power or like the manual?
Yes, I do believe these were stills taken from for an official comic advertising the original game.
Wow. Huh. That's
Neato.
cool.
Like the game say they didn't try with the original game.
True. I like that.
See, I like this. Oh, nice.
Finish 10 races in a row with no crash outs. Good.
Very good indeed.
So, alright. So, yep, that's it. I hope you all... Nice. I hope you all enjoyed, this look-see at F-Zero is probably the only look-see we're ever going to do for F-Zero, unless... Nice. It's probably the only look... It's probably the only look at we're going to do for F-Zero, unless a new F-Zero game comes along.
Well, didn't we do
hey,
GX at one point? Like a look at FGX?
Yeah, we did. Like a long time
ago.
ago. Which, I still sort of appreciate the time we spent on those goofy ass videos that the characters were part of. Like just seeing Captain Falcon save a baby's life from an incoming train. And
that's
only
right.
for him to bend over a little too hard and rip his pants.
I remember those now. Oh
When
my
I
god.
ripped my pants.
My pants.
Alrighty.
Alright, well, on that note, I think we stalled this thing long enough. We very much appreciate your time for watching us, or at least watching me absolutely
Yay.
make a fool out of myself with F-Zero. Well, we were also here talking about, this recent Nintendo Direct, which, again, two for two. We've had some really solid ones.
Stay tuned for a multitude of different games we can now cover to, across our childhood.
Absolutely. See you on next time for Super Mario Wonder.
Oh, WarioWare, move it. This is my new voice. Get used to it.
Wah!
A quip.